We're here, we're back. I'm Jim Winston. This is a Fathers, Mothers, and Family show. We're hooking up with Q. Q Madp. Q, how are you doing?
Jim, I'm okay. I'm tired, but I'm okay, and hope you guys are doing well.
We're doing okay. How was your trip to Washington, D.C.? Tell us about that one.
Well, I tell you what. I had mixed emotions about it, and a lot of it was just being angry. And that brings me to my topic for today, for Memorial Day.
Mm-hmm.
That is the disrespect people have for our cemeteries, for our memorials, and for our military.
Mm.
So I got to visit Arlington. The last time I was out in D.C. was in 1993, and that's actually when I quit smoking. And when I was out there this year, I've actually thought about lighting up.
Oh, goodness. You were that upset.
People using the cemetery like a recreational grounds, like a selfies grounds, like everything but what it's there for, to honor our men and women that served in our military and have paid the ultimate price. I see buses pulling up to the cemetery. On the side of the bus, it says, fun tours. And I'm like, really? This is a fun tour to visit Arlington National Cemetery? Has Washington, D.C. gotten so degraded, so bad with all these I-generation people that this is nothing but a big old Hollywood stop? And when I visited the Vietnam Wall this year, as I was going along with the World War II veterans that came in on an honor flight to visit the World War II Memorial for the first time since it was built 60 years plus too late, and most of them had already passed. And one of the stops was, of course, the Vietnam Wall, and I'm watching parents with their children walking along there as the children bend over and pick up the flowers and flags that people left behind.
Oh, my.
And they do nothing, absolutely nothing.
And they don't instruct the children, tut, leave that there, please. Oh.
They don't. They don't do anything. And so then I'm going to the Lincoln Memorial. Now, Lincoln is my favorite president.
Yeah, sure is.
I've always admired Abraham Lincoln. And the way people were tromping around there. And, you know, this also, believe it or not, is not a Hollywood stage thing. This is also a memorial, and it's a memorial to a great man and to someone that has done so much for so many in years gone by. And people were running around, yelling, screaming, just trash in various places. And it makes me ill that people are this way nowadays. Maybe they've always been that way, and I just am becoming more sensitive in my years. Who knows? But it's just totally disrespectful.
So there
was At the World War II Memorial, I showed up before the veterans showed up, before the World War II, the coaches showed up. And, you know, there were just thousands. Well, to me, it seems like thousands of kids coming in and out of there. There were buses pull up with classes coming out, kids coming out. And so I would approach some of the adults that were with them and says, hey, look, we've got these two buses coming in right now that have got World War II veterans on it. And I would get nothing but negative responses like, so what? What's that got to do with it? We're here to visit the memorial. And I'm thinking that they're just brushing off a great teaching tool to actually, you know, just stop and say hi and talk to a living, breathing man or woman that fought in this war to keep this country free from keeping us from goose stepping or who knows what the Japanese might have done. Just blow it off. We're not here for that. We're here to have a good time. And then you have people using the grounds as recreational purposes, such as bicycles and joggers. And so now we've got a lot of the World War II veterans. Most of them are in wheelchairs because they're, they're of an older generation, and we want to keep them safe.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got these bicycles blowing through there, dinging their little yells or yelling at people to get out of their way.
Oh.
And I'm just, inside of me, I'm just boiling. Now there was an exception to this.
Okay.
When we went to the, come on now, who's the president that's in a wheelchair?
Oh,
Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Thank you. When we went to see his memorial, I saw a bunch of bicycles come up, and you know what? They saw the veterans sitting there having lunch. They stopped, they got off the bicycles, and they walked it through there.
Oh.
And then some of them even, said hi to them and shook their hands. And so that was, in contrast to what I've been seeing at the World War II Memorial.
Oh, okay.
And some of the kids that were there were pretty good. They did come up to these veterans, talk to them, shook their hands, and some of them received little flags from the veterans. But, the majority of people, I keep saying, wow, this is just sad. And I believe that the atmosphere was such that if one of these veterans really wanted to reflect, they probably couldn't, because there is no solitude there. There is no quiet. I don't know how else to explain that.
Well, it sounds like a lot of the solemnity is no longer there.
Prayer in a bar filled with a bunch of drunks throwing pool sticks around.
Well, it sounds
that
like
might not be a good example. Go ahead.
Well, it sounds like there's no sense of solemnity there. That where there's a solemn remembrance and a solemnity of peace and like you said, a quietness to reflect. This is really sad to hear that this is occurring in D.C. and that it's become touristy.
Yeah,
cute.
That is. It just, the whole thing almost, it is. It becomes so bad. Now, the other thing that I label as disrespected, I wanted to discuss real quick, is the United States flag. I mean, either people are total idiots out there, or I'm guessing some people are uneducated, but then a lot of other people that just don't seem to care anymore. So I was at an event recently where the majority of people were even veterans. And the national anthem was being sung, and I would say out of the 100 and plus some odd people, just a handful of them either had their hands over their hearts or were saluting. We become so displaced, And then the flag, the U.S. flag. A lot of people don't seem to know how to handle the U.S. flag, how to respect the U.S. flag. No, you really shouldn't fly it upside down. Yes, it is okay if there's a distress. But a lot of people don't know on which side the flag goes. For example, if you're holding the flag, if you're physically able, if it's on a straight pole, you should hold it on your right side. The basic rule, if you ever want to know what side the U.S. flag goes anywhere, it's always on its own right. And it's a very simple thing, on its own right. So, if you don't understand that, you pretend that you're on the the flag, you make sure you're on the right of everybody else. That's one basic rule. If you have a flag on a stick, you should have it straight up and down, because unlike some politicians, we don't bow down to others. We don't flip the flag, and we don't throw it over our back like a fishing pole. We don't go fishing with it. If you can't handle a flag properly, don't. Let somebody else do it for you. Now, I don't take blame. No, not blame. That's not the word I'm after. But anyhow, I'm not as hard as on people that are standing on the side of the road trying to pay honest that don't know better. Or little children just have those little flags. It's a whole different thing. But in general, most veterans, most people that know anything about the U.S. flag said, no, you hold it straight up and down. It's that simple. Hold it on the right, unless you're physically not able. Then hold it in your left. And I saw a picture recently being posted on that social media website saying, well, look, this guy stood there for 3 hours and saluted everyone. Well, what he did, though, was kind of disrespectful. He took the U.S. flag, he put it in his left hand, and then he saluted with his right hand.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people watching too much movies, that's being disrespectful to one flag while trying to salute another one. You don't do that. You take the flag with both of your hands, you bring it straight up and down in front of you, and that means you're saluting, and you do that with the flag.
Well, and the right side, the old saying is the right side is always the place of honor. And we also have that sense from the Christian sense that Jesus is at the right hand of God. And so the American flag is always on the right side because the right side is always the place of honor.
Right. And the only the exception with that is if you have like a U.S. flag lapel pin, something like that, then it's usually worn over your heart.
Yeah.
Because the lapel pin, the flag is supposed to represent a living thing. And for it to represent a living thing properly, it's supposed to be over your heart. And I'm not positive on the origin of that particular thing, but yes, that is so. But like I said, and then back to memorials. Why do we visit memorials? I had also 2 opportunities, again, to stop at the Tomb of the Unknown. And the people that were there, I'm like, I was watching it. I'm like trying to figure out why they were there. They were there for a show. But they were not there to honor what was happening. They were not there to. This is my opinion, okay, based on what I'm watching, how I'm watching the people. They were there for a show. This isn't a show. This isn't about a show. This is paying honors and respect to the men and women that we don't know who they were. We haven't identified them yet, that fought and died for our country.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't realize this, but every year, more and more of them get identified. And recently, I was at PDX bringing in another one that was identified that died in the Korean War, Corporal Brown, and we brought him home finally so he can get his proper honors. With the DNA technology, more and more of them are being identified and then being brought home.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good thing happening.
Yeah.
So, we need, I'm trying to tell y'all, we need to be more respectful. Seriously. Especially to those that have given their all.
Yes.
And then also be respectful to all of the veterans, especially these older ones. We need to take some time and listen to them, talk to them. Because, as soon as they're gone, that's it. That piece of history is gone. That story is gone. When someone else tells you a story, especially politicians, it's never told the way it should be told, truthfully.
And I'd like to point out, Q, that if somebody was 18 years old, a soldier was 18 years old at the end of World War II in 1945, that'd be about the youngest you could be. That gentleman, man or woman, would be 88 years old now. You said earlier there are not very many of the World War II veterans left, and the few that can make it there to the memorial are probably going to be in a wheelchair.
Yep. Years ago, I had a chance to meet with one of the Marines that was in Iwo Jima.
Oh.
And he was telling me the story about how they were, going up the hill in Iwo Jima, and that he had gotten shot in the arm. But he still managed to fight his way all the way. I couldn't imagine. And this man was very tall and very robust. And, it is true to say, and I believe this is what Tom Brokaw said about, that is one of the greatest generations of this country, because not only did they win World War II, but they basically set the country on a path to greatness, and basically, from the Depression, out of the Depression into the war, and set the country on a correct path to achieve great things in the world, and it set us to a point of global dominance. Mm-hmm. And when I looked at this fellow, I mean, he really was one of the most powerful-looking people I've ever seen. And of course, he was very aged. And this was back in the 90s. But still, I thought, boy, this is someone to have the strength and the gumption to be able to do something like that. I can't imagine. And how many people could do something like that?
Yeah,
and the struggle that would take to do. It's just unfathomable and amazing.
Q, some final thoughts here on that.
During that time, most of them ran to enlist and fight for our country. Couple of wars later, it was draft dependent. But this is one generation that truly stopped this country from becoming who knows what. It would not have been pretty. Anyhow, so my final thought is, look, hey, study up on some basic flag etiquette. Study up on some mannerism around memorials. Read what they're really about. And they're not a Hollywood showpiece, not a selfie stick showpiece. Yeah, okay, I'm going to get annoyed again here. I watch these idiots with the selfie sticks, and they would be jamming them up against things, and let's not go there. But anyhow, this country is losing a lot of respect for the men and women that have fought for it. And, I'm calling them the I generation, I don't care. See that at memorials also. When I see someone that has served 20 years, World War II, when he's being laid to rest, and then hearing the family history, how he's got hundreds and thousands of grandchildren, everybody else, and then I'm looking at the crowd and I see about 15 people show up for his service. It's sad that all these generations that came below this person didn't have the time to say goodbye and say thank you, because it was because of him that this country stayed free, and it was because of him that they were given life. That makes sense to you guys?
Q.
Know what I'm saying?
Q,
Yeah.
Very well said. Very well said.
Well, I try to be to as many as possible, but, for me it's kind of difficult too. But, hey, I'm glad that I can often be there when others refuse to. That should actually be there.
Q, we want to thank
it's
you.
Memorial Day. Let's remember them all. On my current list, I have 7,046 listed, but I just got another Navy name that came in that I haven't added yet. These are the most recent men and women that gave to all serving our country.
This is Iraq and Afghanistan, correct?
Correct. Iraq, yeah. IraqWarHeroes.org, or you can go to my website, OurWarHeroes.org, and click on the various links there to find some of the others. Also, OurWarHeroes.org is where you want to go and click on the World War II page and go to the bottom. That's where I'm adding links to the photos that I shot over the last 3 days being out there with the World War II veterans out in Washington, D.C.
Q Madp, I want to thank you so much for all the work you do to honor our veterans and to encourage others to do so. Freedom, liberty, democracy, the right to live free is very, very precious, and there are very few places on the earth where we really do have it.
if you know someone that's a World War II veteran and has not seen their memorial, check out a site called honorflight.org and get them signed up, get them put on the list. It's free for these veterans to get to the memorial.
What's that service again?
Honorflight.org.
Honorflight.org.
Yeah, once you go there, find the region that you're located in or where the veteran is located in, and, sign them up.
Yeah. Q, thank you so much for being part of our show. I hope you can come back. I hope you can come back in a month and touch some more of this on or around the 4th of July. Q Madp, IraqWarHeroes.org, OurWarHeroes.org. Thank you so much for being part of our show.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Thank you, Q. Nathan, let's get a quick wrap up.
Well, it's just very distressing to hear what Q had to say about the fact that a lot of these that Washington D.C. has become touristy rather than a place of solemnity and a celebration of the nation. And someone was saying about how the mall there in Washington D.C. is really the living room of the United States, and this sense of solemnity should be there. It's something that we must honor our democracy, our republic, and reflect on these monuments. And remember what this country once stood for, and how that through the Constitution all of our liberty flows. And so it's kind of sad to hear this story, and I hope that more people, when they do visit D.C., will consider it a place of solemnity.
Oh, okay. Nathan Jimenez, thank you so much for being part of our show as well here. We will go out with a little Lee Greenwood here. Thank you, Nathan.
Thanks for having me on the show. It's an honor as always, Jim.